When I'm not coming up just a few dollars short of making the Twitter board of directors, I like to answer questions and comments I get on YouTube, so let's get to it. Thank you, Sean. I've never thought of that. This is brilliant. It's a light bulb moment for me. One question, though. If the song is in a minor key, it would work if I apply this to the relative major, right? So to answer your question, yes. Talking about light bulb moments, this was also the light bulb moment that I had on guitar, was realizing that the key of C major and the key of A minor are essentially the exact same thing. I remember when I was first starting out, I was like, I had no concept of just like minor chords sound sad, major chords sound happy, but it's like if you're in a key, I thought all the rules changed, right? So just to kind of break it down really simply, the notes in the C major scale are C, D, E, F, G, A, B. The notes in the A minor scale are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? The exact same notes in the same order. The only difference is that one key is going to sound better when you end on A minor, and the other key is going to sound better when you end in C major, all right? So it's really just like they have a different tonic, right? If you think of A minor as being the one chord, then you're in the minor key. If you think of C as being, the one chord, then you're in major, all right? That took me probably way longer than I feel comfortable admitting to actually wrap my head around. But again, it's almost like talking in circles about it like that, I think really is a deterrent to a lot of people from understanding music theory. So really, the concept of a relative minor or relative major is something that is super, super important, okay? So let's take another key, the key of G, the people's key, right? If we're just playing a bunch of G major chords and we use all those notes in that key of G, use all the chords in the key of G, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, any combination of chords, whether it's the one chord in G, G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F sharp back to G, any way you want to rearrange those chords, think of being in the key of G major, all right? Now, if you're really heavy on the relative minor of that key, which anytime you want to find the relative minor is really easy, you just take wherever your root note is and go 1, 2, 3 frets backwards. That'll give you an E minor. If you're really heavy on E minor, and if it sounds like that song is naturally going to end on E minor, however you switch those chord progressions up, then you're technically in the key of E minor because that's where the tonic is. That's where home base is. But still, in my experience working with other musicians, usually we still talk about chord progressions, even if it's in minor, with the major key numbers, right? So let's say we have a key or a song in G major that doesn't even have a G in it. Let's say it's just like E minor, C, D, right? Something like this. Definitely ends on E minor, right? It resolves there. Most of the time that I talk to other musicians, that would still be a 6, 4, 5 in the key of G. Because again, the relative minor in any key is the 6th note. I know we said we go backwards 3 frets to get there, but really by going backwards 3 frets, you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 scale degrees higher. So again, I've probably already said too much to confuse people who have no idea what I'm talking about, but trust me, just spend a little more time thinking about this, because relative minor, relative major is definitely the light bulb moment for me that opened up just kind of like how music works in general. It really helped me explain things that like I was already doing but just unaware of. Like for me, a lot of my chord progressions, let's say if I'm doing something in the key of C, which again, most guitar players who are self-taught or maybe just learning online learn those chords first. C being the 1 chord, D minor 2, E minor 3, F major 4, G major 5, A minor 6. I think I said that right. You're learning that group of chords, even if you don't learn them as numbers, are some of the first shapes that you have down. So a lot of the stuff you end up playing is going to be using those shapes when you first start out. But what I was doing is I was using those chords, but not really using the C major chord, right? Because a lot of the music that I liked wasn't in a major key. So I would do something where, all right, maybe I'm not going to play something minor, but I'll focus on that 4 chord, that F major. I'd play it maybe something like here. F, A, G, right? F major 7, A minor, G. So, that's maybe like a chord progression that I would gravitate towards. Right? And it would, would it resolve on an F? Well, I was actually playing in kind of like a Lydian mode, but I didn't even know it. And it wasn't until I started thinking like, oh, major and minor keys are essentially the same group of notes and chords. It's just how we perceive them and where like it resolves and where that chord progression is kind of like it has a direction, it has a movement to it, right? Now, the one thing that you could say where A minor is different from C major is the thing that sends you to an A minor, right? Usually the 5 chord, remember, like we've talked about in a lot of videos recently, the dominant chord will push you in a certain direction, like how G7 makes you go to C. Well, E minor makes you go to A, B, C, D, E, right? E minor kind of has the same effect with A minor, but E7 kind of gets you to A minor a little quicker, right? So E7 is kind of like an unofficial chord in the key of A minor that like technically isn't, but whatever. Again, does it sound good? That's the main thing. And the light bulb moment for me was just, okay, these keys are the same, the chords are the exact same, but how I use the chords is going to really have like a different type of sound, right? So I think that's why a lot of people are confused by the modes and stuff. Like even just when I said Lydian is my favorite mode and where I kind of write chord progressions from and where I derive a lot of like melody from. A lot of people are very confused by the modes because like, well, these are the same thing, the same different order. It's really all about the chords and the melody that you put over the chords and where those chords kind of push you in a certain direction. So, if this is something that you're struggling with, take any key, every, major, minor key has 7 different notes. Those become 7 different chords. Check out my Patreon for more if you want more information on that. And then just make chord progressions and try to make the chord progression so that it'll resolve on a chord that maybe isn't, in the key of C, a C major or an A minor, right? Because thinking of C major and its relative minor or A minor and its relative major is just kind of part of the bigger puzzle piece. And like I said, once you get that down, then everything else will make a lot more sense. And by the way, I'm rocking the Supro amp right here. It's really great because I'm in an apartment building for this month, if you guys are watching the videos. And the line out is really cool. Basically, I can kind of have this at a super low volume. And if you guys are interested, I can do like a demo on this because a lot of people have asked about this. But man, I think it sounds great. Anyways, on to more questions. This man is a master at getting past the algo. Yep, that is my one skill in life. I'm like an algorithm ninja. I just sneak right by it, make sure none of the videos get picked up. So it's kind of funny. This was on a video I posted yesterday, which was about backdoor dominant chords, right? I thought it was a pretty good lesson about taking like a flat 7 major chord, like B flat major 7 in the key of C, and it was I felt like it was like a pretty substantial informational lesson, but it just tanked. It totally tanked on YouTube, which is funny. Maybe like a couple years ago I would have been like really upset at it, but not. This is just kind of how it goes. So if you don't know how YouTube works, it's like, sure, I have like 400,000 subscribers or whatever, but I can still post a video and it gets like maybe like 1,000 views and it just tanks because like the YouTube algorithm will serve it to like a small subsection of your followers, and then if it performs well, then it'll maybe show more people, etc., etc. Again, I don't want to act like I'm complaining about this whole thing because I feel like super grateful to have like any kind of following, But it is just kind of funny that like I will always think that my best videos, like that backdoor dominant lesson, it's too funny for obvious reasons you could probably imagine. I was pretty sure that was gonna do a little bit better, but no, YouTube's like, no, too funny. Not gonna show this. Not gonna show this to anybody. Too much educational content. So I don't know. The funny thing for me is like I don't even know what people subscribe to my channel to watch, because sometimes it's lessons, sometimes it's a gear demo, sometimes it's me just clowning around. There's really no way of predicting what video might do well, what video might do terribly well. Which is why the Patreon is important, because at any moment the bottom can fall off this entire operation. So I appreciate everybody who who checks it out over on the Patreon. Because in the meantime, I'll just keep being that algorithm ninja, just operating above, underneath the radar. You scream cocaine, LOL. I don't think there's subtext to screaming cocaine. I think if you're screaming cocaine, you're literally just screaming cocaine. Mixed with a little bit of Jeff Goldblum, no, Christopher Walken. Can't decide. Got it. He sounds a smidge like Goldblum, but talks in a Christopher Walken manner. Screw it. He sounds like both of them. New backhanded compliment of the week award. The love child of Christopher Walken and Jeff Goldblum. Man, I'll take it. She's got a great voice, but the guitarist is no guitarist. Man, this is like a deep, salty one. The guitarist is no guitarist? Talk about like some existential identity issues that I'm having now because of this. Hi Sean, which Elixir strings would you recommend for an acoustic guitar? 10, 11, or 12? Great question. On a video a couple days ago, I got a deal with Elixir. So again, that's awesome because I love Elixir strings. The Nano Web, usually the 80-20 bronze ones are the ones that I use, and I usually use 12s. Again, if you have no idea what strings are, they're usually denoted by the thickness of the thinnest string. So on an acoustic guitar, the high E string would be how you denote a package of strings. So I use 12s generally. However, when I was gigging like 4 nights a week, right pre-pandemic, I actually switched to the Custom Light 11s just because it was a little bit easier on my hands and I was playing like a lot back then. So I kind of wussed out and was using the Custom Light 11s. But I think 12s are like the sweet spot where like you're not really sacrificing any tone at all and it's still generally decent enough for the action on most guitars. But yeah, 11s or 12s go back and forth, but generally I'm usually always on 12s. If you're going to Austin, you're not going to Texas. So like I said, I'm in the city of Austin, Texas for the month of April. Pretty sure by the fact that it was 97 degrees yesterday and it's 60 degrees today with like 100-mile-an-hour winds, pretty sure I'm in Texas. I heard those are bad for strumming. Is that BS? I was thinking of getting a similar guild. Do you think there would be a big sound difference? So this is a question on a video where I was playing one of those Gibson parlor guitars at LOO, and for someone to say those are not good for strumming is really probably the dumbest thing that I've heard this year so far. And I've heard a lot of dumb things, let me tell you. But any guitar with strings is perfectly fine for strumming. In fact, you know, I've been using that Lava Me 3 guitar, if you've seen that. It's like a carbon fiber, kind of smaller guitar. Like, that guitar is actually pretty awesome, and you'll probably see some more of those on the video. Definitely on my Instagram, I just posted some more stuff with that. But yeah, if it stays in tune and has strings, it's great for strumming. Trust me, you'll be fine. Sean, I heard you say you're a natural lefty, but you play guitar right-handed. I'm a lefty too, and I tried to learn right-handed as a teenager, and it didn't work out. Tried again as a lefty 40 years later. The results are still meh, but I've been playing 5 years, enjoying it, and making progress. So, care to share how you decided, maybe decided isn't the right word, to play right-handed? Yeah, so I am a micro lefty, macro righty. So like I play sports and stuff right-handed most of the time, but like I eat right, do stuff like that left-handed. So I naturally should have played guitar left-handed. I remember like anytime I would be air guitaring before I started playing guitar when I was like 16, I would do it as a lefty, but I went into a guitar shop and I was like, can I just get a right-handed guitar and string it upside down like Jimi Hendrix? And the guy was like, no, you're going to want to learn right-handed. And he was just kind of like this salty, like, old-school guitar clerk or whatever. And he probably gave me some bad advice, but in hindsight, I'm definitely glad that I learned right-handed. All the resources are right-handed. I don't think it hurt me at all. If anything, maybe it helped. I just really think that once you just start learning it, it's like your right hand is just as important, if not more so than your left hand. No, I'm not going to say that. Some people are like, you know, your right hand's more, your picking hand's more important than your fretting hand. No, it's not. It's close. It's probably more important than people think, but they're both pretty important. So I don't really think it matters which way you learn. I'm glad that I learned how to play right-handed just because it can be a pain to get left-handed stuff anywhere else. But yeah, I didn't really decide. I had the guy tell me that just bad information that Jimi Hendrix had some kind of special team that set his guitars up that normal left-handed people couldn't use. But I mean, but whatever. It's probably better in the long term just because I feel like lefties are at a disadvantage from a gear and resources standpoint. and I don't really think there's much of an advantage that I would have had I learned to play the other way around, but we'll never know. So for listening homework, in the spirit of the Grammys happening the other day, and just awards shows in general, I think an underrated moment is when Fiona Apple won an award and she just went up and said, "This is all BS," and gave a speech about just like how BS the music industry is. People who watch the channel know that I think Fiona Apple is like, by an incredibly wide margin, the greatest singer-songwriter that has ever walked planet Earth. So we're going to throw you to some classic Fiona Apple because she's the best. Like I said, check out the Patreon if you guys are bosses. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comment section, Instagram, Twitter, or the website. Check out the Super Amp, rocking the D'Angelico Mini DC. And like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks a lot.